Caitlin Clark has already made waves in the WNBA, but when she stepped onto the court for her first game in the European League, she set the place on fire. It wasn't just the score that got people talking, though dropping 38 points in your debut is nothing to sneeze at. It was the way she did it. Clark played like a headliner who didn't get the memo about showing up fashionably late. She put on a show from the opening tip-off, leaving a lasting impression on the fans, the media, and maybe even the popcorn vendor up in the stands. The moment she crossed half-court, the air got a little heavier, the defenders tensed up, and every time the ball touched her fingertips, you could almost hear the collective intake of breath from the crowd. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. In the early minutes of the game, the defenders came at her like they were on a mission, but Clark had other plans. She didn't just respond, she practically toyed with them. Her handle was as slick as a new pair of sneakers, and the way she kept defenders guessing was almost like she was a street magician pulling off trick after trick. There were no rabbit hats, but those crossover dribbles and behind-the-back passes served just fine as sleights of hand. After losing her first defender with a fake so convincing it could have made an actor blush, she coolly drained a three-pointer from a distance that even Steph Curry might have nodded at approvingly. This was how she announced herself, no grand gestures, just a jaw-dropping skill set. But the real kicker was Clark's court vision. She seemed to see plays develop in slow motion, zipping passes to teammates through the narrowest of lanes, making it look so easy you'd almost believe it was. There was this one moment when she spotted her center breaking towards the basket and lobbed the ball so perfectly you'd think she'd thrown it with GPS. That pass? You could tell it wasn't just a lucky dime. It was a masterclass in how to set up a teammate. Her moves and decisions left both the audience and the defenders wondering if she might have a spare set of eyes hidden somewhere. Clark also had a little swagger about her, nothing over the top, just enough to make it clear that she knew what she was doing. You'd see it when she'd nail a deep three-pointer and jog back on defense with a little grin, like she knew something everyone else was still figuring out. She was never loud about it. She didn't have to be. Every bucket and assist spoke loud enough. For all her skill and style, Clark kept it deceptively low-key in her reactions. If the defenders were exasperated, you wouldn't have been able to tell from her face. The only giveaway might have been the way she clapped her hands sharply after a play, as if to say, "That's how it's done, folks." It's one thing to score a bunch of points, but it's another to do it with a sense of ease that makes even seasoned athletes stop and watch. By the third quarter, it was obvious that Clark wasn't just playing in the game, she was orchestrating it. The European League isn't exactly a cakewalk either. This isn't some second-rate league where any decent WNBA player can just roll up and dominate. Many of the top European teams play like well-oiled machines, with defense drilled into them like a mantra. Yet on that night, they looked like they were trying to chase shadows. Clark made seasoned defenders appear like kids trying to stop their older sibling from scoring in a backyard one-on-one. That's not to say the defense didn't come with intensity. They did. Double teams? Check. Pressing her full court? Absolutely. They even threw in some traps, but Clark just danced her way out of them. It was almost like watching someone trying to catch a greased pig, entertaining, futile, and slightly chaotic. There was one point where, despite all the attention thrown at her, she still slipped through two defenders with a deft spin move, pulling up for a jump shot so smooth that one of the opposing players actually let out an audible sigh. You could almost see the resignation sinking in. It wasn't just that they couldn't stop her. It was that they knew they couldn't stop her. By the fourth quarter, the game had turned into what could only be described as the Caitlin Clark show. She was putting on such a performance that it was easy to forget there were 9 other players on the court. Not that she was a one-woman show in the selfish sense, far from it. Clark's knack for getting her teammates involved was on full display. She dished out passes with a casualness that said, "Here, go ahead and score too," and every time she did, her teammates happily obliged. It was like she was the star of an ensemble cast, happy to let the supporting actors have their moment, as long as it helped the bigger picture. The fans in attendance were in for a treat. European crowds are known for their passion, and they responded to Clark's performance with a mix of awe and excitement. It wasn't long before murmurs of disbelief turned into roars of approval. By the end, the applause wasn't just polite clapping. It was the kind of cheer you reserve for a virtuoso musician hitting a high note. Clark, however, remained largely composed, save for a few appreciative nods to the crowd and a couple of quick handshakes with her teammates. If she was thrilled with her performance, she didn't let it show too much. Clark's play had a ripple effect, and it didn't take long for WNBA fans to chime in. Social media erupted with reactions from every corner of the basketball community. Some were astonished at her adaptability in a new league. Others marveled at the way she seemed to lift the play of those around her. Of course, there were comparisons aplenty. Some likened her to the all-time greats, while others claimed she had redefined what it meant to be a star player overseas. Those who doubted her ability to transition to the European League were left scrambling for excuses, and even they had to admit, Clark had arrived in a big way. What makes Clark's performance even more compelling is how she carries herself. She doesn't come across as someone trying to make a name for herself at every opportunity. Instead, she plays like someone who's already got that name and is simply having a good time showing why. There's a certain charm in that. It's as if she's not overly concerned with legacy, but more focused on enjoying the moment and doing what she does best. Clark's ability to blend confidence with a sense of groundedness is a rarity in an age where bravado often takes center stage. It's almost funny, really, how someone with such an unassuming presence can so thoroughly dominate a game. You wouldn't catch Clark boasting about her achievements, but her game is plenty loud on its own. She has that knack for making the extraordinary look ordinary, like draining a three-pointer from the logo or pulling off a no-look pass in transition as if it were just part of her daily routine. Her game has a sort of casual excellence to it, and that's what makes it both remarkable and relatable. In the aftermath of that game, WNBA fans weren't just buzzing, they were in awe. Many were left wondering if they'd been taking her for granted all along. After all, she had made the difficult look easy in her debut in a league known for its disciplined and defensive style. It's not often that you see a player so thoroughly dismantle seasoned teams on their first night out. It was like watching someone walk into a kitchen for the first time and whip up a gourmet meal without glancing at the recipe. That's not just talent, that's pure instinct paired with hard-earned skill. Clark's debut also highlighted something else, her love for the game. She plays with a joy that's both infectious and inspiring. When she nails a tough shot, it's not followed by a fist pump or chest-beating celebration. Instead, she'll flash a smile, maybe give a slight nod, and get back on defense. It's as if she's acknowledging the moment but doesn't want to make a big deal out of it. That subtlety is part of her charm. It makes her feel more accessible to fans, like she's just one of them, having fun on the court. One of the most talked about aspects of that game was how seamlessly Clark adjusted to the European style of play. This wasn't just a case of coming in and imposing her will. It was evident that she had studied her opponents, learned their tendencies, and figured out how to exploit the tiniest weaknesses. European defenses are known for being compact and cohesive, but Clark found a way to stretch them, make them uncomfortable, and then capitalize on their uncertainty. It was like she had found a chink in the armor and kept poking at it until the whole thing unraveled. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.